Kia Niro EV is now on sale here in the United States, and no, there was no official announcements or commercials on TV. They just kind of started to pop up in different dealerships here and there, but it is a big deal. I know all of the glamour right now is with Model 3, but this is a big deal for a lot of people because it's a very different type of a car, but at a great price and a great electric car. Here to help me to make sense out of all of this kind of exciting mess, I guess, is Tom Moloughney of InsideEVs. As you know, we do our segment called Plugged In every Friday. So he'll be here in a second and we'll talk about it all coming up next. Taking over the world, electrifying the world, E4 Electric! Welcome to E4 Electric, your number one source of unbiased electric car news. If this is your first time here, go ahead and click on that subscribe button down there so you don't miss anything moving forward. All right, so it's Friday and Tom is here, and this is exciting. As you guys remember, I did do a test drive a while back in Santa Cruz. It was back in January, I think. And it's been very interesting because I really like the car, and it has been I liked it more than I thought. The range is actually more than the EPA rated range. Me and Fred from Electric were test driving it, and we kind of clocked it at 260 miles. So, and you can see that video with all of the footage, with all of the driving. And I can't wait to see them on the road because this is a big deal. I know it's a legacy manufacturer, but it is Kia, and they've been pushing really hard and doing some really good promotion and good stuff with this car. So before I bring in Tom to talk about it, let me remind you that this video and this channel is sponsored by Byton. Check out All Electric and Byte, scheduled to come here in 2020 here in the United States and Europe, starting at only $45,000. Check out that huge 48-inch shared experience screen, one of 5 screens in that car, and hurry up and reserve one because there's over 50,000 reservations around the world. It's free to make a reservation, and it only takes like 60 seconds. So go to byton.com to get yours. All right, without further ado, I'm going to bring in Tom, and he'll tell us what's happening with Kia Niro EV. Tom, welcome back. Happy Friday.
Good afternoon, Alex. Thanks for having me again.
Absolutely. All right. So, when we talked this morning, what the topic is going to be, you told me that Kia Niro EV is on sale in the United States. And I'm like, wait, what? There was no official announcements. Nothing's going on. How did you find out? What's going on?
Yeah, so I was perusing the Facebook EV groups, and I came across the Kia Niro EV group, one of the Kia Niro EV groups. And to my surprise, I saw a person posting pictures and said how excited they were. So I assumed that it was in Europe somewhere, but then I saw, no, it's here in the US. And evidently the person had been scouring the internet for Kia Niro EV availability. And as soon as it popped up, they made a deal with a dealer in Maryland, drove across a couple states and picked it up, and was in the midst of driving it home. So I believe that the cars first showed up earlier this week, Monday or Tuesday, at some point at a couple dealers in Maryland. And so since then, I have been keeping my eye on Car Gurus. And now, to my surprise, they popped up in California. That's no surprise. But I've also seen that there are 3 at Kia of Chambly in Atlanta, Georgia. And what's surprising about that is Kia has repeatedly told us that the Niro EV is only going to be available in California plus the other 9 ZEV states. And Georgia's not one of the ZEV states. So here we are before they're even available in the other states, and they're showing up in a non-ZEV state. So is this foretelling of a different plan for Kia? Are they going to offer them in some of the other non-ZEV states? We'll have to wait to find out.
I haven't had a chance to reach out to their rep. I don't know if you have, and I'm definitely going to do it after we're done here. But it is like, let's just stop and just acknowledge that this is a great car. Like, the pricing is, they started, well, okay, that's the thing. We don't even know the official pricing, but it starts around 35 or 36,000. Then there's still a full tax credit that Kia has that Tesla doesn't. Then there's state-based rebates like $2,500 in California, $5,000 in Colorado. Like, you can get this car for like 25,000 really, the base model, which is actually not even that base. Like, walk us through a little bit about the features of this car, and why the pricing, especially after incentives, is incredible.
Okay, so like you said, Kia hasn't announced or formally announced the official pricing for the US. But the cars that I looked at, and there's about 20 of them or 25 of them available on Car Gurus now. The range was from 37,300 to 47,600. So there's more than a $10,000 price difference from what I've seen so far for the least expensive Niro EV to the most expensive. Now, that said, even the least expensive Niro EV is pretty well equipped. One of the things in particular that I was impressed with is the safety features. Even the least expensive EX comes with a host of safety features like blind spot warning, rear cross traffic collision, lane following feature, forward collision warning. I think it has the smart ACC, the cruise control with stop and go. It has collision avoidance, a whole host of safety features that are usually optional. So even the base EX that's going to go for 35 to 37,000. Like I said, the least expensive one I saw was 37,300, but it didn't list the options, so it could have some options on that vehicle. But it wouldn't surprise me if Kia makes the base price a little over 37,000. That way, with the federal tax credit, it's still below the $30,000 threshold, and they see that they know there's going to be a demand on these vehicles. So why not bump up the price 1,000 or two? It's not going to really deter too many people from buying it.
Okay, so but I have to say that yes, I agree with everything you said. The features inside the cars, I know it's not a luxury car, but the feature inside the cars are not that bad at all. It does have the way to basically project your phone, just like with Android Auto and what is it, Apple CarPlay or whatever. It has all of the things that you need. It does have this little assistant. I just want to call it assistant, where it helps you keep the car in a lane. I mean, it's just like so many things. Like, I enjoy driving the car, and the EPA range that they gave it, which was I think like 239 or 249, that's not even like real life range in a good way. Like, we drove the crap out of that car, and it still ended up with I think 260-mile overall range, from our calculations. Now, tell me now, just like I mentioned earlier in my opening, the spotlight is on Model 3. They have a $35,000 version. So if someone's got 35 grand or 37 or 40 grand to spend, and they're looking for an electric car, giving me an idea what type of buyers will go for the Model 3, and what type of buyers would go for the Kia Niro EV.
Well, obviously there's a big crossover. There's a group of people that would go for each or either. But then you have to really drill down and see what you're getting with each vehicle. The Model 3 is a performance sedan. It has such great performance. It has such prestige, the Tesla name, that I think people that put more value on performance and prestige and image are going to go for the Model 3. Whereas people that are just looking more for the functionality of the vehicle, the utility of the vehicle, and the cost, because you can get the full tax credit with the Kia Niro. And if you get the base price, it's still down under $30,000. So, I think you really have to look at what your priorities are for a vehicle. I mean, I like both. I'd like to have one of each, to be honest with you. But they really deliver such different things for the owner. I love the storage space. I mean, the Niro has 1.3 cubic feet of space, cargo space with the rear seats down. That's important to me. I don't know exactly what the Model 3 has, but I would venture to guess it's less than that. And it has a lot of things standard in it. You can get a heat pump. It has ventilated seats. The Niro EV, which the Model 3 doesn't have, it has wireless phone charging. Even though it's a Kia, and unfortunately, Kia's got a bad name, and that's probably because some of the earlier Kia models, when Kia first came to the U.S., weren't the highest quality. But today, I think Kia probably is one of the most underrated brands. They make really good cars, and I wouldn't be afraid at all to buy one. I'm totally fine with the quality they have. So I think what you're looking at is the value. How much does the buyer place on value versus performance and prestige?
I also want to add something. Yes, I think he has been actually improving a lot, like literally year after year. And I wouldn't have a problem getting a Kia as well. By the way, I also think it's a good looking crossover SUV. Let me just add that. And by the way, if I'm going to get one, I'm going to wrap it exactly like it was at the what is it? There was they unveiled it at
I
CES
remember.
2018, right? So I'm gonna wrap it exactly like that, right? And I mean, like, I think that's a really really slick looking SUV. So I like that. But another thing you have to remember: people need a crossover or compact SUV, whatever you want to call it. Model 3 is not that. This is obviously have a lot of back space, which Model 3 does not have. Model Y is really, really far away. So for people who like to go, on trips and go to Tahoe, snowboarding, whatever, whenever you need to haul crap with it, like I'm a hockey goalie, right? I can't have a Model 3 because I will not fit all of my, equipment in there, but I can here. So, realistically, for people with some needs for some cargo space, this is the only choice. They can't even consider the Model 3. I agree with you. It's Model 3 is a performance sedan. It's got an amazing technology. The self-driving stuff they're doing is amazing. But I think most of the time when you have a family, uh, the Niro EV makes more sense to people just because of the actual needs that they need for either cargo room or a few other things. And let me add one more thing. Um, the reason I'm leaving or definitely want to leave Tesla brand is incredibly horrible ownership experience and customer service. You don't get that with anybody else. I mean, the Kia will guarantee you at least an average customer service. You won't be on a hold with their representatives for over an hour like you would with Tesla. So I would say those two things also make it more attractive to other buyers who don't care about the Tesla logo as much. Would you agree with those two?
I agree, but you have to understand with uh, all companies except Tesla, the service is really dependent on the dealership, and that varies greatly from dealer to dealer. So you might find a great dealer in your area that really takes care of you, but you also might stumble upon a dealership that has terrible customer service. See, with Tesla, it's kind of consistent because it's Tesla. They treat everyone the same way. But when you're talking about dealerships, one dealership to another can have a dramatically different customer experience. And that's something that you have to consider. You have to seek out and find the dealers in your area that provide a good customer experience.
Yeah, but even if I have a bad customer experience with one dealership, there's usually another one within a few miles, 5 or 10 miles, especially
Exactly.
and then at least I have a choice. All right, so the by the way, during the drive to in Santa Cruz when we did that, we took this pretty cool photo like with the background of that plant over there, so you can see. We can even zoom in and boom, it's right there in the background. Which I found kind of funny because it's ironic a little bit. But so you know, the reason I'm bringing up this test drive is because they actually made a pretty big push for us, the journalists, to do this and to and to get these videos and these pictures and all this buzz out. But you know, they're only selling it in ZEV states. At least that's what they said they would. They haven't announced that they're starting to sell them. I don't see that many commercials, even though they did hire Robert De Niro, as a spokesperson. Um, what like are they in or are they out? And let me just for 1 second, let me play that video of De Niro's ad. Let's just check it out in a second. Okay, here we go.
Ta-da! Soon you'll be seeing a lot more of this Niro and that Niro. Stay tuned.
So obviously it's the beginning of the series of commercials and stuff like that. Again, I see a lot of good effort to promote this car and that the key is behind it, and then I see a lot of things like not announcing that it's for sale on the other one. Are they in or are they out?
Well, we certainly can't say they're in. Not yet, and we don't know if they're going to follow up with more advertising. You really don't know if they just did this for fun and that's going to be it. Because let's face it, announcing that they're only going to be available in the ZEV states isn't the best way to put your best foot forward. And if that's going to be the case, they really don't need to advertise them that much, because if they're only going to be available in 10 states, how many vehicles are they going to bring in? And people will seek them out that live in neighboring states that really want them, so the demand will be relatively high. And I don't see Kia putting much effort behind selling this vehicle. I hope they do. It would surprise me, but I think that this is just going to be another, I don't even want to call it compliance car. It's certainly starting to
Man,
smell like a compliance car. It's a good compliance car. I may buy one. That's how good it is. But it's definitely not something that I think Kia is going to really throw the weight of their brand behind.
that's a shame. And I also like the T-shirt. This is the T-shirt we all got when we did a test drive. And they were making a lot of emphasis on the environment and how it's good for the environment and stuff like that. Well, this is really unfortunate. On one hand, I hope things do turn around, because I see high demand for this car. I'm very impressed. The range is there, the service is there. What do you think needs to happen? All right, last thing? What needs to happen for them to take this seriously, to take us seriously, you and me? Because I'd get this car as well. For them to start making these cars higher volume, hopefully, profitable, start advertising them, and stop treating it as a black sheep in a family.
Well, it really just depends on how many they bring in the U.S. If they bring 1,000 into the country a month and that's it, or even less, then it's going to be what it is, a small, low level compliance car. If they decide that they have the production to bring in 2,000, 3,000 a month, and then they expand it from the ZEV states on out, we're already seeing that that's a possibility, because for some reason some of these showed up in Georgia. So maybe Kia's decided that they're gonna try to make it a little bit of a bigger splash than what we all thought. So the whole thing, Alex, to me is how many they bring into the country. If they limit it to hundreds a month to up to 1,000 a month, then it's really just there for compliance and may as a placeholder until their next round of EVs come out. But if they decide to start bringing in a couple thousand a month and helping the dealers by maybe putting a little cash on the hood, offering good lease deals, then they'll show me some signs that they're serious about moving them.
And we're going to find out about this on Inside EVs, the publication you write for, because that's the only one that I know of that actually comes out with a monthly sales number. So I'm definitely going to watch for that. And as always, there's a link to your stories in the description of this video. Now, how much a role in this will play the whole dilemma of having dealerships? Obviously, I mean, and I just did a story about this where in Colorado the law didn't really pass. Not that it was a good bill or anything like that, but legacy manufacturers are stuck with having dealers where the all electric startups like Tesla, Rivian, Byton, and so forth can sell direct to the consumers because there's no dealers to protect. And as we know, dealers make money on maintenance, which is not really required that much for electric cars, so they don't really want to sell them. How much of this drama and almost pretty much a conflict of interest is going to be in the mix as far as selling this and really other electric cars by legacy manufacturers like Kia?
Well, it's definitely going to play a role in it. And I even have a personal example of how this has affected Kia already. So I live in northern New Jersey, and the closest Kia dealership to my house is Motion Kia in Hackettstown. And a couple of weeks ago, I went there to ask them about Niro EV availability, if they had heard anything about it, when they think that they might get one in stock. And as soon as I said Niro EV, I believe I was talking to floor manager or sales manager. He just cut me off and said, "Oh, we don't sell the EVs here." And I was like, "Really?" He's like, "Yeah, we don't sell the plug-in cars here." So I was like, "Okay, well, I'll take my $47,000 to the dealership that's 6-7 miles away down the road." And I right after I left there, I drove to another dealership, and they were more than happy to talk to me about it and said, "Oh yeah, we're excited. We know they're coming. We're ready for them." And I gave them my name and said, "Look, when you get them in inventory, I want you to give me a call, and I'm going to come down and test drive them." And since then, and that was maybe 2 months ago, a month and a half ago, somewhere around there, every week I get a email or a text message from the person I spoke to saying, "Hey, Tom, just want to let you know I'm still out looking for these. They're not available yet. As soon as I get them in my allocation, I'll give you a call." So there's an example there of two dealerships that are only 6-7 miles apart, but in my opinion, are worlds apart in service and just customer relations. The one just couldn't get me off their showroom floor fast enough because I just mentioned the word electric. And the other dealership was more than happy to sit down with me. He's been following up, keep me in the loop, keep me engaged. And that's really what it's about. How well do you run your business? Dealers are all independently owned and run. Some of them are run very poorly. Some of them are run very well.
Yeah, and by the way, I forgot to mention, I just got an email from one of my followers, Patrick, and he sent me a picture of the right-hand drive Niro that he just got in the UK. So they are making them in that version as well.
Oh yeah, I knew that. I knew that for a while now. I believe they were accepting orders in the UK, and that after a while they had gotten so many reservations that the people were being told that there's a year backlog now on the Niro EV. So there was strong demand for them over in the UK as well. And I think it's kind of like the Hyundai Kona EV. Kia is just trying to figure out how many can they make and how to dice up the allocations. How many do they send to Europe? How many do they keep for their home market? And how many do they send to North America?
Interesting. Yeah, the demand is definitely there. It's just so insane. We're talking about the big companies not wanting to sell stuff where people waving
No.
their money at them. By the way, remind me, this one has CCS charging, correct?
Yes, that has CCS, and the good thing about it is it'll take up to 100 kilowatts.
Yeah.
So, most people assumed that it would have the same charging capabilities as the Hyundai Kona EV, but that's not correct. Kia went up to 100 kilowatts. I think the Kona EV tops out at like 70 or 72 kilowatts. So this car will actually charge faster than the Kona electric.
And it's kind of the same as what Tesla's been charging for for the last 5 or 6 years. I mean, I just had to supercharge the other day, which I normally don't do, but my Volt broke down, so I had to go and use my Tesla for long distance travel. And I capped at like 72 kilowatts, so that was my cap for my 2015 Model S. So yeah, no, this is another thing that we forgot to mention. You can now use Electrify America, and they go up to 350 kilowatt charging capabilities. And they're popping up all over the place. So I gotta tell you, man, like I'm still shopping for my next car. My Model S is expiring in 3 weeks, and obviously I'm still considering Tesla. As you know, I kind of cooled off on a e-tron. I'm even considering iPace. That's how messy it is in my head right now. But this car is not a bad car. I'm like literally considering it as well because like if I can get a great lease deal and I can wrap it that way that it was at the unveiling, that might just be good for me, you know?
Yeah, I don't know. I don't see you in the Niro EV.
No?
I see you in something a little bit more flashy.
All
You know,
right.
I'm older and I've had all the flashy cars. I've owned in my life a DeLorean, a Porsche Boxster S. I've had various Mercedes. I've kind of got that like out of my system, and now I just want a car that drives well and does what I need it to do. So I still see you wanting to roll up on people and turn heads. So I don't see you in the Nero EV, Alex, honestly.
All right, you
We'll
might
see.
be right. You might be right. Okay, all right. Listen, still, this is a big deal. Thanks for noticing this because I don't see anybody reporting about it. So I'm glad that you actually came on. And this is the topic that we picked this week. All right. Well, as always. There's a link in the description of this video to all of your awesome stuff on Inside EVs. There's a new look that you guys have now, and I will see you next week and see what other crazy stuff that's gonna happen that we're gonna have to talk about.
Very good. Next week, we'll be talking about Electrify America. I'm giving you a little hint.
That's right. I forgot. That's right. You're going to that event. Unfortunately, I decided not to go simply because of just travel arrangements didn't match up. But yes, you're going to be going there, and I mean, I would love to see you in person and do this in person, but just my logistics didn't match up, even though I did get invited by them as well. So thank you to them for that. Yes, we will talk about Electrify America, which will kind of going to be a perfect segue from what we talked about today to what we're going to talk about next week. So I'm looking forward to that.
And as I am.
All right. Have a great week, man.
You too. Talk to you next Friday, Alex.
All right. All right, guys, this is pretty cool. I mean, I'm really happy that this is happening, and I'm kind of really sad that this is not happening the way that me and Tom and a lot of other people would have wanted. But nevertheless, listen, if you've been waiting for this car, this is that moment where you should just call your dealership, whatever the local Kia dealer, and see if you can get one. Obviously, I always recommend leasing, so look into that because that should be a very great option because they have a full tax credit available that usually gets built into the lease right away, so it's immediate. It's an immediate rebate, if you will, where if you purchase it, which you still could, you would have to wait until April 15th of next year, where you will get that return on your tax refund or at least a rebate. So look into that. By the way, we've been getting great feedback about our VIP list, our newsletter that we've been sending out every week with some exclusive stories. So don't forget to subscribe to that. Obviously, it's free. Just go to e4electric.com/VIP. Quick reminder right here, if you want to support me on Patreon, and this is the only place where you can watch me live, you can go to patreon.com/e4electric. And of course, if anything, behind the scenes stuff that I post on Instagram, definitely check that out. All right, it's been great having Tom again on the show. We're going to do it again next Friday. Most likely Electrify America. Big topic for everybody. I will see you guys tomorrow. And of course, remember to stay charged.